Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive that's, well, it's going to take you down a road you might not expect when you think about Disney. We're going beyond those classic animated films and exploring the rumors, the whispers, the theories about the dark side of Disney.
It's fascinating how much people love to dig into these theories about hidden meanings and secret messages. Like
Uh,
there's this idea that there's always something more than meets the eye, even with something that seems as innocent as a Disney movie.
yeah, you're right. I mean, when you hear Disney, you automatically think of fairy tales and happy endings.
Yeah.
But what if those heartwarming stories we grew up with are, I don't know, what if they're built on something a bit darker?
Right.
That's what we're going to be looking at today. We'll be talking about everything from subliminal messages to secret societies to even the original fairy tales that inspired those animated classics.
Hmm.
We're going to be mentioning films like The Lion King, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, even Snow White and Frozen.
That's a great lineup. It really shows how much Disney has become a part of our collective consciousness, you know? I mean,
Mhm.
and these films they spark so much debate and analysis. It's really quite amazing.
Okay, let's dive right in. Let's start with a theory that I think really captures people's imagination. The idea that there are subliminal messages hidden within Disney films.
Hmm.
Have you ever had that experience where you look at an image and suddenly it takes on a whole new meaning when you see it from a different angle?
Yeah.
That's kind of the power of subliminal messaging, right? One of the most famous examples is the alleged word SX that people say is spilled out in the dust particles during that scene in The Lion King. I mean, everyone's heard that one, right?
Oh yeah, that one's a classic. It really shows how we as humans are always trying to find patterns and meaning, even when we're looking at something that's totally random or ambiguous. You know, from a psychological standpoint, subliminal messaging is definitely a real phenomenon. But the question of whether it actually works, whether it can really influence people's behavior, that's still up for debate. Researchers haven't really come to a consensus on that one.
So it's not as easy as just like flashing a message on screen for a split second and then boom, everyone's suddenly doing what you want.
No, not quite. There's definitely some evidence to suggest that subliminal messages can have a subtle effect on how we perceive things and maybe even our preferences. But this idea that they can like control your mind,
Yeah.
that's not really backed up by science.
Okay. So maybe not mind control,
Hmm.
but it doesn't make the theories any less intriguing.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I mean, besides Lion King, there's that whole thing with the priest in The Little Mermaid.
Right.
People say it has a bulge, and then there's that line in Aladdin that some people claim sounds like "Good teenagers, take off your clothes."
Oh yeah, those are some persistent rumors for sure. But Disney has always denied that they put those things in there intentionally. They have alternative explanations for all of those.
Mm.
It's really important to remember that context matters a lot,
Mm.
you know?
Mm.
Like what might seem like a totally obvious message to one person might be interpreted in a completely different way by someone else.
Right. It's like those optical illusions where you see one thing and then someone points out something else and you can't unsee it.
Exactly.
But even if Disney denies it, there's always that little voice in the back of your head wondering, what if?
Yeah, it's that uncertainty,
Hmm.
that little bit of doubt that keeps these theories alive, and I think it's part of what makes them so fascinating. It's our fascination with the unknown.
Okay, so maybe subliminal messages are a little bit of a gray area, but let's move on to a theory that's a little more, shall we say, grand in scope. I'm talking about the Illuminati. You
Oh
know that
yeah,
that secret society that supposedly controls everything.
right.
Well, some people believe that their symbols are hidden all throughout Disney films. We're
Hmm.
talking pyramids in The Lion King, that all-seeing eye in Aladdin, even Mickey Mouse's ears. Some people say they form a perfect triangle, which is a symbol of the Illuminati.
It's interesting how the Illuminati have become this focal point for so many conspiracy theories. The original Bavarian Illuminati, they were a real group back in the late 1700s.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
But their goals and their activities, they were actually quite different from how they're portrayed in modern conspiracy theories.
So the real Illuminati were more about like Enlightenment ideals than world domination.
Right. That's right. The conspiracy theories today, they paint the Illuminati as this powerful, shadowy organization that's controlling everything: global finance, politics, the media, even entertainment.
So it's less about historical accuracy and more about this idea of a secret power that's pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And when you think about how huge Disney is and how much influence they have on pop culture, it's easy to see why people might put those two things together
Right.
and start to see those recurring symbols as evidence of a deeper conspiracy. It's like one of those connect the dots puzzles we used to do as kids, except instead of a cute animal, it's a secret society.
Right.
And it doesn't help that there's so many celebrities who have ties to Disney. Miley Cyrus, Justin Bieber, they all got their start in Disney Channel.
Right.
It makes you wonder, are they all part of the grand plan?
Well, celebrity culture is definitely a breeding ground for speculation. Especially when you think about how much we scrutinize the lives of famous people. You know, any strange behavior, any weird symbol they use, or any connection they have with someone or something, it can quickly turn into a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's like we're constantly looking for clues, trying to decode the hidden messages in their music videos and their social media posts. And when you throw the Illuminati into the mix, things can get really wild.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's be honest, sometimes it's just fun to
Yeah.
indulge in those what if scenarios.
Totally. There's something exciting about exploring those alternative narratives and just imagining a world that's different from the official story. It speaks to our nagging curiosity and our desire to understand the forces that shape our lives.
All right, so we've covered subliminal messages and the Illuminati. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's a little less about hidden conspiracies and a bit more about the origins of those Disney tales that we all know and love.
Mm.
Are you ready to go deep into the world of fairy tales?
Always.
Because let's face it, those classic Disney films, a lot of them are based on fairy tales that are, well, pretty grim in their original versions.
It's true.
So it's not all singing princesses and talking animals.
Not exactly.
What are they like?
A lot of the fairy tales that inspired those classic Disney films, like the ones collected by the Brothers Grimm, they were often really dark and violent. And they served a different purpose back then than the kind of sanitized versions we see today. They reflected the harsh realities of life back then, you know. They dealt with poverty and hunger and violence and even death.
So it's like Disney took those original stories and sprinkled them with fairy dust and gave them a happy ending.
In a way, yeah. They adapted those tales to fit what their audience wanted and the cultural norms at the time. It's really a fascinating example of how stories change as they're passed down through generations and across different cultures.
Okay, so Disney may have sanitized the stories, but that doesn't mean those darker elements have completely disappeared.
Right.
In fact, some people believe that those dark undertones are still there, lurking beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And that they still influence how we understand the film.
It's an interesting idea. Even in their more sanitized forms, those stories can still tap into our deepest fears and anxieties. And maybe that makes us look for those hidden meanings and those darker interpretations.
Yeah, it's like those shadows you see at the edge of your vision. You know, they're always there reminding us that even in the brightest, most magical world, darkness is never really that far away.
Yeah. And maybe that's part of what makes these stories so compelling. You know, they offer us a glimpse into the complexity of human nature, the struggle between good and evil, and the power of both light and darkness.
So speaking of darkness, are you ready to dive into some of the really weird and often kind of creepy fan theories that people have come up with about Disney films?
Yeah, let's hear them.
These aren't about subliminal messages or secret societies or anything like that. It's more about how people interpret the stories themselves. And they often come up with some pretty dark interpretations.
I'm intrigued.
So last time we were talking about some of the darker interpretations of Disney films that fans have come up with.
Yeah, these fan theories, they're fascinating because they really go beyond just like pointing out hidden messages or secret symbols. They really dive into the psychology of the characters and the stories, and they often come up with some pretty dark conclusions.
Okay, so give me an example. What's a theory that really made you think, wow, I never thought of it that way?
Well, there's this theory that Peter Pan is actually like a Grim Reaper figure.
Oh, wow.
And that he leads children to their deaths in Neverland, which is why they never grow old.
That's a pretty dark take on never growing up.
It is. It really makes you question whether Neverland is really a paradise or something much more sinister.
Yeah, those are the kinds of questions that keep you up at night. Okay, what about another one? Give me something that's really out there.
Okay, how about this? Some fans believe that Andy's mom in Toy Story
Hmm.
might be a serial killer.
Wait, a serial killer?
Yeah, they point to clues,
Yeah.
like the fact that we never see Andy's dad and there are no other adult men in the entire film.
That's pretty dark, even for the
Yeah.
dark side of Disney. But I can see how people might get there with those little details.
Right. It's the absence of information that lets our imaginations run wild and fill in the blanks.
It's like those scary stories we used to tell around the campfire,
Yeah.
where the scariest part is what you don't know.
Exactly. And these fan theories, they often tap into those primal fears and anxieties.
Okay, I think I need to lighten the mood a little bit after those last two. Do we have any theories that are a little less morbid?
Oh yeah, definitely. How about the theory that connects Frozen and Tangled?
Okay.
Some fans believe that Elsa and Anna's parents from Frozen, the ones who supposedly died at sea,
Yeah.
well, they think they actually survived the shipwreck and became the king and queen in Tangled.
Whoa.
They even point to Rapunzel's resemblance to Elsa as possible evidence.
Huh. That's interesting. It would be kind of cool if all of these Disney movies were secretly connected somehow.
Yeah.
Like a shared universe, like the Marvel movies.
It's that sense of interconnectedness that a lot of fans really love. It adds this extra layer of meaning and depth to the Disney universe.
Yeah. It makes you feel like you're part of something bigger,
Right.
something magical.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about some pretty intense fan theories, but let's step back from the shadows for a minute and talk about something that often sparks a lot of debate when it comes to Disney,
Mm.
and that's the portrayal of gender roles.
Yeah, that's an important topic and one that Disney has had to grapple with over the years as society's values and expectations have changed.
A lot of the classic Disney princesses like Snow White and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty,
Yeah.
they're often seen as damsels in distress,
Yeah.
just waiting for a prince to come and rescue them.
Yeah. Right.
Do you think that's harmful? Especially for young viewers?
It's a tough question. I mean, those early princess films, they were products of their time.
Hmm.
They reflected the social norms and gender roles that were prevalent back then. But yeah, when you look at them through a modern lens, they definitely perpetuate some stereotypes that some people find problematic.
Like the idea that a woman's worth is tied to her beauty or her ability to find a husband.
Exactly, and that a man's role is to be the strong, heroic savior.
But hasn't Disney tried to move away from those traditional portrayals in more recent films?
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, you have characters like Moana and Elsa from Frozen who are strong, independent women. They don't need rescuing.
That's right. Disney has definitely made an effort to create more diverse and empowered female characters. Moana, for example, she's a Polynesian princess who goes on this dangerous journey to save her people. And Elsa, even though she struggles with her powers, she learns to embrace who she is and she becomes a powerful ruler.
So it seems like Disney is evolving and trying to be more representative of the times.
Mhm.
What about the princes? Have they changed at all?
That's a good question, and one that doesn't get asked enough. I mean, there have been some attempts to make the princes more complex and relatable, but they often still fall into that traditional archetype of the charming, handsome hero.
So maybe there's still some room for improvement there. What about other forms of representation, like cultural diversity and LGBTQ inclusion?
Those are really crucial aspects of representation and areas where Disney has faced criticism in the past. Their early films, they primarily reflected a Eurocentric perspective, and they often neglected or misrepresented other cultures.
Yeah, it's true. Growing up, most of the princesses were white. It wasn't until Aladdin that we saw a Middle Eastern princess, and even then there were some concerns about cultural accuracy and potential stereotypes.
Right. And when it comes to LGBTQ representation, Disney has been very slow to include explicitly LGBTQ characters in their films.
Yeah, there have been those subtle hints and subtextual interpretations, like the lesbian couple in the background of Frozen, or the character in Beauty and the Beast, who some people interpret as gay, but those are pretty subtle, aren't they?
Very subtle, which has led to accusations of queer baiting, where a studio hints at representation without actually fully committing to it.
Which could be really frustrating for those who are looking for more visibility and authentic representation in media.
Absolutely. And it raises questions about whether Disney is just being cautious, trying to avoid alienating certain audiences, or maybe they're genuinely struggling with how to navigate these really complex and sensitive topics.
It's a lot to think about. And
Yeah.
it's important to have these conversations and to hold media companies accountable for the stories they tell and how they represent the world.
It's all about progress, not perfection. And it is encouraging to see that Disney is at least making an effort to be more inclusive and diverse in their storytelling.
Okay, so we've talked about subliminal messages and secret societies and dark fairy tales and fan theories and gender roles and cultural representation and LGBTQ inclusion. What else is there to uncover in this deep dive into the dark side of Disney?
Well, there's one final and rather intriguing aspect we haven't touched upon yet, and that's the mysterious death of Walt Disney himself.
Ooh, yes. The man behind the magic.
Yeah.
There are so many rumors and conspiracy theories about his death. Didn't some people claim that he was cryogenically frozen? Like waiting to be revived in the future?
That's one of the more outlandish theories. But the truth, as is often the case, is probably much less sensational.
So how did Walt Disney die? And why all the mystery? Okay, so last time we ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. The death of Walt Disney.
Yes.
I mean, he was the man behind the magic, right? You would think his death would be pretty straightforward, but nope. It gets wrapped up in all these crazy conspiracy theories. It's almost like something out of a Disney movie itself.
Well, it's definitely a topic that captures the imagination. The official records state that Walt Disney died from complications related to lung cancer back in 1966. He was a heavy smoker for most of his life.
So pretty open and shut case then.
Well, you would think so, but almost immediately after his death, all these rumors and alternative theories started popping up. Some people claim that Disney had actually planned his own disappearance, like he faked his own death to escape the pressures of fame.
Like a real life fairy tale ending gone wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Others suggested that he was involved in secret government projects, or even that he had his consciousness transferred into a computer.
What?
Like some kind of futuristic prediction of the digital age we live in now.
Okay, now that one sounds like it came straight out of a sci-fi movie. But if these theories are so out there, why do people believe them?
Well, think about it. Walt Disney was a larger-than-life figure. He was an innovator, a dreamer, a master storyteller. His life was like a blank canvas, and people could project their own hopes and fears and fantasies onto it.
So these conspiracy theories are almost like another form of storytelling.
Yeah, in a way, I think they are. They reflect our fascination with the man and his legacy, and maybe on a deeper level, they speak to our own anxieties about death and the power of imagination.
Yeah, I mean, I think deep down we all want to believe that a part of Walt Disney, the man who brought us so much joy, might still be out there somewhere, even if it's just in the digital realm.
It's a comforting thought.
It is. But even without the conspiracy theories, Walt Disney's legacy lives on. I mean, in his creations, the stories he told, the worlds he built.
Absolutely.
Okay, but let's zoom out for a second. We've talked a lot about the dark side of Disney.
Yeah.
But they've done a lot of good in the world too.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't forget the immense joy and wonder that Disney has brought to generations of children and adults. Their films have sparked imaginations,
Yeah.
taught valuable lessons, and provided countless hours of entertainment. And beyond that, Disney has been involved in a lot of philanthropic work. They support charities and initiatives focused on children's health and education and well-being.
Okay, good. I was starting to feel a little bad for maybe ruining everyone's childhood memories.
Uh-huh.
So maybe it's
Not at all. I mean, like anything else, there are complexities and contradictions and areas where they could definitely do better. But it's important to acknowledge both the positive and the negative aspects of their legacy.
So where does that leave us after this deep dive into the world of Disney? I mean, we've talked about conspiracy theories and hidden messages and complex social issues and even the mysteries surrounding Walt Disney's death.
It's a lot to take in. But remember, it's all about critical thinking and exploring different perspectives and having these thoughtful discussions. And who knows, maybe some of these theories will make you see those classic Disney movies in a whole new light.
I know I will. I'm never going to look at Mickey Mouse's ears the same way again. But seriously, folks, what are your takeaways from all of this? Do you buy into any of these theories? Are there any aspects of Disney that we didn't cover that you'd like to discuss? Let us know in the comments.
And as you go back and watch those beloved Disney films, think about this. How have these stories shaped your own worldview, your values, even your understanding of what's possible? It's a question worth thinking about, even beyond the world of fairy tales and happy endings.
Wow, that is deep.
Mm.
All right, folks, that's a wrap on our Disney deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, keep questioning, and remember, even in the most magical of worlds, there are always layers to uncover. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.